Good evening, folks. I figured I would try this versus trying to type it all out onto a Facebook post. So, if you bear with me, I have some ideas for the next RockCan Machine can crusher. So, my thoughts are to use this piece here, even though it's super long, and I have another one right here. My thought is to use it as a rock crusher type device. So the reason I have it sort of mounted here is just fit in, but basically it's in here to help show. Basically to help show what one pillow block bearing looks like on here. Sorry, had an itch in my nose. Can you get before you sneeze? So what I'm planning on doing is having just one of these on one side and another one on the other side, basically fixed like a V, but one being vertical and one moving, oscillating in to help crush the can a little bit and eventually spit it out the bottom very, very flat. So to give you an idea, here's one can sitting there, and to give you a ruler size dimension, here's a tape measure, and I can go crossways. So we're at 4 inches, like pretty much exactly 4 inches. Excuse me. And a pop can is roughly 2.6 inches. I've measured it with calipers before, so looks like 2.5, but we're actually 2.6. So I move the pop can down to the edge, just for my own giggles. Sorry if I'm moving the camera too fast. But what I'm hoping is get this lined up at the end. Yeah, it's pretty close. So I have this marked out right at a foot. Holes that are in there came with it. You know what, actually, right there and there's not too bad for mounting stuff for the stationary one, because I'm going to use one as a stationary, cut it off, I'm guessing a foot. Everything's still in the mock-up stage. And then use another one, say on top. Let me get a piece of wood here. So to get another one on top, so when the can, will that stay? No. Alright, we'll do this then. Bear with me. I know it sounds like it's easier than typing, but for now, it is. Pictures, 1,000 words and all that stuff? Yep. So, basically, what we have, if I can get this to stay, cool. So, in short, we'll have one that's stationary, and one that moves. And when it moves, it'll oscillate. And of course, if you were to picture the can moving, it would oscillate and keep crushing the can. And of course, it would get smaller and smaller and smaller to probably about a 1/2 inch, or I'm hoping for a 1/4 inch, but I think a 1/2 is conservative, maybe 3/8. So, at the very least, the opening has to be the thickness of a pop can, 2.6. We'll go 3 just for extra room. So it'll be up 3 inches. So the top portions of the big beam or box channel will be 3 inches up, and it'll have an angle, and it'll come down to about maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the plate. So far that's my idea for a rock crusher, can crusher method. So let me put this down, and as you can see, there's lots of cans ready to go. I'm sure most are looking forward to seeing all these get crushed. I even have some down here waiting to go, and we've got some over here all washed out, ready to go. As you can see, tons of bag handles, almost about 20 of them. I think there was about 23, 24 bags, at about 20 a piece. It's well over 400. I have another bag here, that's my collection bag. So when I get some, I put them in. Decent way hanging, just nice and easy. So what will happen with the old stuff? What will happen is I'm going to keep the hopper system, which is now on a spring. I'm going to keep all this. I'm going to be able to mount it, hopefully mount this part to the frame of the rock crushing pop can machine. And as we can see, there's definitely, let me try to support this, there's definitely enough room, just looking off the tablet here, sorry, definitely enough room to get this to mount up. A little bit of leeway on each side, not too huge. So let me put this down before I drop it and make a shit ton of noise. Okay, so these are preconditioned. It's not a slot, it's just something rubbed against it or stayed there and got rusty. But I've got other angle iron of metal here to use to beef up the frame of it. So probably won't need this to agitate it anymore, but I want to keep it as a good setup because it can work. And as I said before, there's a spring on it. There's a spring mounted right there. And right down here. So I just have the springs joined in the center. So you can still kind of get to inside if need be. And it can come down. So again, it's still clear. And hopefully converting this frame over to the rock crushing machine. If I'm going to use one pulley, the odds are pretty damn good I'll use the new good pulley. Mainly because that is nice and straight and new, and it can also lock onto the 17/4 stainless steel axle. Same as this one, but this is old, wobbly. I beat it to hell trying to get it off with a squirrel cage fan, but it's truer on the wheel. But unfortunately for this frame, trying to back up here. There we go. Fortunately for this frame, I cannot fit two wheels next to each other. Wheels are about width of pulley, about the size of my fist. So there's one, and we're right about there. So there's two. Yeah, not much room over here. Certainly not enough room for a bar that wide, 4 inches wide, to fit. Reason, if I had both of these wheels on either side of the rock crusher, or the RockCan Crusher, 4 inches wide is about the width of my fist, there wouldn't be enough room. I would have to widen out this part here in order to fit two wheels side by side, or possibly turn these 2x4s vertical and have them come off right here. There's a smidgen of bit of room there, but reason to go vertical, can't really go much vertical with this piece of wood here, but there's plenty of angle iron over there, so stuff can get beefed up. So the next thing I wanted to mention on here was the reason I had the big bar up here looking close at the pillow block is I want to reutilize these, all four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reason is I would like to have the rotating big pulley on one 5/8 axle, and I would like to put maybe a 1 3/4, 2 inch, 1 5/8 pillow block. Basically the diameter of this hole, like right now, that's at 5/8, 625. So basically, sorry, I was just looking at where the microphone hole was. So 5/8 diameter rod fits through this, and if I can get one that's, say, okay, so if it's 2 inches, that's basically the distance between here and here. Reason for such a big is I need it to oscillate, and in order for it to oscillate I have to have something off balance, and the easiest way I can think of doing that is to use the 5/8 rod but have it sandwiched over here and have it rotate around. Being that these have, see if I can get to show you, being that these have set screws right there, there's one, and there's the other one. Being that these have set screws, and if you were to look at from the top, I would say probably at 10 and 2, like on a steering wheel. So if they're 10 and 2, you got one coming down here, and you got one, it's hard to do on the tablet, you have one coming down from the other side as well. So you have one coming down this way, and you have one coming down this way, and that will pin against the 5/8 rod that'll be, say, down at the bottom. So when the 5/8 rod gets spun by the pulley, it'll be a wobble, or not concentric. It'll oscillate, and that will move the top of the RockCan Crusher bar part. It'll move this part. See if I can show it to you this way. It'll take this, and since it would be at an angle, imagine it doing that. So it'll take it and move back and forth, eventually pinning it against a flat one. So if I were to show you like this, hopefully I don't have it fall over. So basically it'll go like this, 3-inch gap, and it'll slowly, here's an exaggerated view, it'll slowly crush and crush and crush, and as that pop can goes down further and further and further, it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's why I'm thinking maybe a foot from the top. Let me get a better view here. Foot from the top, so that way when it's all put together, so I measured a foot from the top of here, so if we can get it right. So a foot from the bottom, keep the height the same. And if we look under here, that tape's just poking out. So that's not bad. And being that it's a foot from the bottom of this, all this will all stay at the same height and everything. I was reaching up here. So in theory, I could actually keep it mounted right onto this frame and just have everything else underneath, because, well, obviously this is already mounted, so I wouldn't have to mount that on anything. It'll be freestanding. Now obviously the downfall is I would have to move the position of this, maybe. That kind of depends on where the oscillation part that I want to have it go round and round, and how it's going to push against the this part here, the box channel, how it's going to push against it, and the force that I would need and everything. So I was thinking of 2 bigger pillow blocks, but seeing that the pillow block here, like I showed in the beginning, so we're at about 1.5 inches. So if you put pillow block bearing on this at 1.5 inches, you pretty much only get 1 in the middle. Putting 2 in the middle, to me, it's overkill. Just crushing aluminum. And to basically show how easy, let's try this. Basically what I'm getting at is, if I were to show you a pop can and how easy it is to crush, coming down this way, and if it were to continue to go, and the pressure and everything, it needs a little bit good amount of pressure to get it to fold over like that, and then a bit more pressure. Now I weigh 215 pounds, so this can got crushed with me kind of bouncing on it, roughly 215 pounds of pressure. So 215 pounds of pressure gets you about that flat. Pretty flat, pretty nice. And that's the width of one pop can being crushed. Now, is it the same width as this? I haven't tested it, so that's why I'm looking. It is. It's basically the same width, so that equals out to about 4 inches as we take the ruler against it. So we're at about 3.5. And we know just try to put that down there. So there I've got the pop can actually inside the channel, basically to show that this box channel will be more than plenty wide enough for a pop can to slide through, given it crushes the correct way. But I can also put a washer or two on here on each side, and that will allow, if the pop can decides to go down on an angle, it'll kind of right itself, and then avoid this part that pinched out. And basically, when it goes, it would fall all the way through, and obviously at some point come out the bottom. Well, we know you're in there. There you are. So you get the drift. So anyway, the slight fortunate thing is these holes, for those of you that are sticking around long enough, this can focus. Let's see if this will work. We can come back out and then zoom in or get close. Maybe I can spot focus. Basically those holes are threaded, so that helps. And they're threaded for 1/2 inch 13. So basically pre-threaded holes. Can't help but beat that. So, and that's the same on both sides. Sorry, one side each of both square tubing, square channel, however you want to put it. So that's the gist of what I'm hoping and planning on doing. I just sort of need a decision on, and curious on whether to use 1.5, 1 5/8, 1 3/4, or 2 inch. Luckily I just need one. So one of these for the top at 1.5, 1 5/8 will give me a 1 inch wobble. 2 inch will obviously give me 1 3/8 wobble. A little bit more movement. If I could find a 2 5/8, that'll give me a 2 inch travel, a 2 inch wobble. That'd be really nice, but that might be too much money. Right now, some of the prices for like a 2 inch or 2 3/16 is running about 25 to 30 bucks. I have 46 at the moment, luckily enough. So if I go 1 5/8, it's like 20 bucks. Now 26 bucks left over for other stuff, like the counter for this. It's only 22 in tax of 140 something, so say 24. I'd have 2 bucks left over. I know we'd like to see a counter on this so we can see how many pop cans totally ran through, but I think if I were able to spend a decent amount of that money for, say, a different contraption, I know this just got done, I know this is complete, I know this is working. I guess that's the tinker madness in people like me. It's not that perfect isn't good enough, it's I found a better method that isn't so wheelie and has a much smaller footprint. the widest it's going to be is the width of these plus 3 inches in the middle. Let's say, just so it's not going to tip over, let's just say 4 inches, or we could even remove a pinky. So that's about 4. Yeah, we'll put the pinky in there. It's probably a good 3 without my knuckles. So the widest it's going to be is 3 inches plus the width of these. A real 2x4. 2 inches by 4 inches. Now that's a 2x4. Not 1.5 by, or yeah, 1 3/4, 1.5 by 2.5 was a 2x4. It's like a 1/4 or 1/2 inch smaller than what it's supposed to be. I'm not a carpenter, I'm a machinist, so 2x4 logic really isn't my forte, but we do have 2x4s right here. So 3 3/8. So we lost 5/8 from a 2x4. And the height, get down just right here. Yeah, let me just read it. 1 3/8. Not even 1.5. So, total width of the part, this is 4 inches. There's going to be 3 inches here. So obviously 4 plus 3 is 7. Just say 8 for extra stuff. So, as I trip over the metal. That was almost scary. So, if we were to look at it, get the glare off the tape. So, we're at 4 plus 3, so that's 7. 8 to be generous, so we'll put 4 in the middle. So 8 inches. That's how wide it'll be, or how long, or how much footprint it'll take up. 8 inches. Well, these wheels are 15 inches each, so that's 30. Needless to say, 15, 15, 30, they're touching. 8 inches is right about where my thumb is. Sorry, finger on the tape there. So yeah, a much smaller footprint. It'll probably weigh more, if not maybe the same. But the cool thing I would like to do is still use both of these motors that are on here. Got one motor here, one motor back there. Is the oscillating part. I could keep one wheel on it, but I would just have to keep one wheel, basically this one, because it's already on, the pulley's already on the wheel. Keep that one and use the wheel as momentum, kind of like a flywheel, actually just like a flywheel. And as we can see, now we can see, sorta. So I've got literally just shy of 10 inches of room here. 9 7/8 of width here. I'm just going to move this in. This is at a foot. Sorry, right at 12 inches. So, let me back up again here. So, the wheel, wheel with pulley, we'll say 4 1/4, say 4 1/2 to be generous. And we know those are 4 inches, so that's like 8 1/2, almost 9. And you've got the little bit sticking out for the pulley there, so Try to line that up again. Yeah, we'll say 5 inches. 5 inches easy. And the width of those are 4, so that's 9. We have 9 7/8. So we have basically 7/8 worth of room. Still need room for the other pulley. And the other pulley depth is just over 1 inch. We're at 1 1/8 inch. But probably the nice part is the extension of the pulleys there will be above the 2x4. And I could turn the pillow blocks around so this protruding part is on the outside, giving me a little bit more room. And that should kind of help. It's if I want to put a wheel in there for momentum. But personally, I think if I just use, say, 2 pulleys, even this warped ass one here, if I use 2 pulleys, I get to save this much room worth of wheel, which is about 3.5. Try to get it where the tablet light isn't shining on the ruler. About 3.5. I'll line it up on the one side. So yeah, a good 3.5 inches I can save if I eliminate one of the wheels. I know it's a half hour so far. I graciously appreciate anyone that's sticking around, but it's a video with in thought depth thinking and trying to figure out what I can do, what I can't do. Otherwise it would have just been a book on a post and would have took you to a new tab and all that shit. So the nice thing is I can keep all the wiring the same. One switch, both motors and all that. I can probably have to rearrange how the belt stuff and all this is down here. Maybe. I know the system's 4 inches wide. Sorry. I know the system itself is 4 inches wide, and if I look here, if I look down from the top, where this hole is, and this hole is, let me get this a little bit better here. I know you can't see it on the tablet, but 3 1/4. That's for that part, but we can see that it's actually just a little bit more than that. Let's see here. So that's that, and of course it's routed out down there. Basically the slot here that I have I'm like really close to the tablet, so sorry. So we're just under 3 inches. Just under 3 inches for the hole that's there. But that'll line up pretty good to put the pop can in the middle so it can get crushed. And obviously and hopefully the weight of the others will let it go down. And of course I'll have a little bit of room on each side, but my point, what I was getting at, is if I could keep the pulleys exactly where they are, so therefore I wouldn't have to change, I've been down here, I wouldn't have to change any of this stuff down here, because as we can see, I'm like right in the middle a red zone, however you want to call it. I've got a little bit of play, not a lot, but it's all adjustable. I just have screws in there, down there as well, screwed in from the top, and screwed in on the side here. Can't see it because that part's in the way. And that's just screwed in from the top. As you can see, one of the screws is extremely long, but it's obviously what I had at the moment. So screwed in from the top. Stuff is just notched out, just so it can all fit. Obvious custom work, but that's what I'm hoping to do. Those are my thoughts. Shout me a message, write a comment, leave a comment on YouTube, I'll approve it. If you're nice enough to have a potty mouth, I'll definitely approve it. But approving on YouTube keeps the trolls out of the channel. We all know someone's got trolls and doesn't care for them and everything. So, that's my thoughts. We're coming on 37 minutes here. Let me know what you think. We'll go from there. And hopefully I'll be able to finagle everything into position to where I can fit a foot each of these. Preferably the ones with the holes in it already. There's holes on each side. Could just cut one of them right in half. Right at that black line. But that'd be stupid long. Definitely a lot of leverage. But right at a foot is pretty much right after here. So if we're mounting the frame up, mount one angle iron into there. Nice thing is these already have slots in it. Come on, focus. You don't know what to look at. So those already have some slots in there all the way down. So that'll be for the adjustment. And hopefully it will work and suffice. Appreciate you sticking by. Coming on 38 minutes. And I will catch you on the next video. Hopefully with me dismantling this and putting stuff together. Until then, bye-bye. Obviously, sorry. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.